Welcome to Big Daddy Sports. I'm your host, Big Daddy.
LB Jenkins.
We're back with you once again talking about the hot topics, and we got a few good ones this week. Let's jump right in it. So how do you feel about the Jonathan Martin, Richie Incognito situation? And don't be ignorant with your comments.
What are you talking about?
I'm not going to say anything ignorant about a pimp and his worker. If you want to be here your second year and a part of a hazing scheme, look, Incognito is wrong. But you got to have a mentality. You have rights. You activate your rights. Tell the coach. Tell something. He went out today and said, I didn't tell the coach nothing. You like your situation then. You like being broke. You like paying for dinners you probably didn't even eat. You have a basic contract in the NFL, and after your agent get paid in taxes, you have no money. But you gonna let someone pimp you consistently over and over again?
So we're blaming the victim now. Look, there's a dynamic to a locker room.
Want the leash.
There's a dynamic to a locker room that you know and understand, and the fact of the matter is you want to fit in.
With one player?
But see, that's
with one?
That's the
misconception. Is he dating your mama?
No, that's the misconception. We're turning Richie Incognito into Greg Williams, and we're singling out this one guy when the incident that put him over the edge was a group incident where he walks into the locker room, sits down, and the whole team gets up and leaves him there by himself. That was his breaking point. So this wasn't just Richie Incognito. Richie Incognito's stuff is what's just coming out. I promise you, more than likely, there are more texts from other players. More players were getting him for money. Richie Incognito is the face of this, but this ain't him alone. And I think it's asinine to just single out the victim and say it's his fault when all he's really trying to do is fit into a bad culture.
Okay. You're trying to fit in. Then shut up and keep taking it then. Because
now you're saying...
No, my point is there's some things, there's hazing that goes on in football. The rookie's going to get it. It don't matter if it's high school, it's going to matter if it's college. There's some hazing that goes on. I have no problem with that to a degree. But when we get to this extent, where this is your second year, this is... Now, all right, let's make this. It's not one guy. It's multiple guys making you go broke. I don't know if you got a family, kids, a mom, and a but you're going broke.
At the end
stressing.
At the end of the day, here it is. Some careers are over. I don't think anybody's going to want Martin on their team because he quit. He did it wrong. He should have went to the NFLPA quietly, but kept playing. By leaving the team, he looks like a quitter no matter how you spin that. Incognito is going to be a cancer. I think somebody was trying to pick him up, but he won't play for a contender. Philbin's done. And as quiet as it's kept,
we're saving him right now.
No,
he's saying he don't know.
But that's the problem. How are you the head coach and you don't have the pulse of your team? How is that even possible? So the fact that you didn't know is just as bad as if you were a part of this. And then the other fact on top of all that, Philbin instructed Incognito in the offensive line to make Martin tougher. So he gave the orders for this. That's a problem. Philbin's gone, Incognito's gone, Martin's gone, and maybe Jeff Ireland, depending on how the seasons go, because the GM's been horrible since he's been there. Next up, how much does Aaron Rodgers being out allegedly for 3 weeks affect the Green Bay Packers' chances of making the playoffs?
It affects it just because Chicago and Detroit are right behind them.
It affects it because the Packers suck without Aaron Rodgers. Let's just call it spade a spade.
Oh, no, you don't got no defense. You got two good defensive players.
You got no defense whatsoever, even if Matthews is healthy.
Yeah.
Then, on top of that, your O-line is not great, but it's playing a little bit better. Injuries to the skill position players. Jordy Nelson is balling, but
he the only receiver.
When you got Seneca Wallace as the quarterback, who's a journeyman backup, not like a journeyman starter, a journeyman backup, and you're trying to stay competitive in that division,
Detroit's at 5-3, you 1 game behind. Chicago 2 games behind. You lose 3 weeks in a row, all of a sudden you third in the
And what
division.
I don't understand, I'm not a doctor. They said it's a small fracture to the left shoulder, 3 weeks. When we've seen this before with Bradford, remember, shoulder got hurt, small fracture, he comes back, gets hit again, he's out for the year. I don't think this is just a 3-week problem. With that, he can't get hit. And with that offensive line, he's going to get hit. So he may come back, but I still think no matter what, their season's done. Because Aaron Rodgers is one of the few quarterbacks in the team like Drew Brees who can carry a franchise and cover up a lot of flaws. He's covering up a lot of flaws on that team. Next up, how much is John Fox having heart valve surgery going to affect the Denver Broncos?
Well, you know, he's a real pivotal person. Bump that. This is Peyton Manning coaching team. Now, I'm not going to say John Fox is Jim Caldwell taking messages from Peyton's wife. I'm not saying that at all. But John Fox being up is not going to be an issue.
Really?
Del Rio,
really?
Del Rio don't need to come in there making any changes. We've seen his administration. That don't work.
Really?
But if you let Peyton Manning play the game,
ain't this the same rhetoric we heard last year? Well, Drew Brees is a coach on the field, and they're not going to miss the coach. And what happened? They missed the coach. When you don't have the guy who's a decision maker, who's a planner, who instantly knows, this is what I want to do, and when that happens, no matter what happens next, I already know what step 2 is. We saw with the Saints how it affects you when your coach is gone. And now, you get lucky like the Indianapolis Colts and you have a Chuck Strong situation, but that was something to galvanize behind. And maybe they'll galvanize behind this. I just don't see Del Rio being that guy.
Let's be real. All right, head coach, of course, has a plan, has a vision, A, B, and C. He's the defensive coordinator that's coming in. The defensive coordinator, I probably got at least A and B together. Now, in Saints, it was the interim.
I agree.
This fool didn't know who was going to be the towel boy next week.
I agree.
It's different.
But look, Del Rio got enough to deal with that patchwork defense. Defense has talented players, but they have not come together as a unit. So now you take the defensive coordinator away from already what was a so-so defense, and now he's got to run the whole show. So now somebody else is calling the plays on defense. I think it's going to be a lot. I don't think they're going to fall out of playoff contention, but I think you're going to notice what John Fox brought to that team. Next up, fantasy. I got for you this week. No Sean Moreno versus the poor Chargers run defense. Even though Fox is gone, the Chargers are giving up 5.2 yards a carry. And when you got Peyton and you can't have 8 in the box, no Sean's going to get his numbers. Next up, surprising, Eli Manning versus the Raiders secondary. The Raiders secondary gave up 7 touchdowns to Nick Foles.
Who?
Not Peyton Manning, not Drew Brees, not Nick Foles. That's all you need to know. Lastly, Zach Stacy versus the Colts run defense. The Colts are 27 versus the run, giving up 124 yards a game in the run game. They'll probably win the game, but Stacy's going to get his numbers. Who you got?
I got all defense for you. Jags defense versus Tennessee. Tennessee can't put up numbers really that well. Jags defense is playing solid, plus it's a division rival. I give you the Jags defense. Cards defense versus Houston. Casey Keenan, no coach. Wade Phillips is the defense. No cop. No, I'm sorry. Cards defense. The Saints defense versus Dallas. Tony Romo gonna throw you 3 anyway, and Rob Ryan got this defense playing well, so pick up the Saints defense.
I don't know about well. They're playing okay. Anyways, last week, he wanted to pick. I give it to him. I don't know what happened. I had a horrible week, but I still got a 1-game lead in the overall standings. Holla at your boy. All right, who you got? Thursday Night Football, Redskins at Vikings.
Upset Vikings. It's at Vikings. I go whoever's gonna be at home. Redskins can't finish.
Have you seen Redskins Ponder play?
I saw Christian Ponder play last week. He puts his heart into it. He got some heart.
He ran.
Now talent. No, I ain't saying that. The talent ain't improved. I saw some heart. He got benched. He played a little bit more heart. Redskins can't finish games.
I'm gonna go with the Redskins. The Redskins finished the Chargers last week, by the way, even though the Chargers kind of gave it to them. Eagles at Packers.
Eagles.
It's because of Seneca Wallace. Just tell the truth. If you don't trust Seneca Wallace.
Well, they ain't got no defense. And if Nick Foles can throw in the Raiders, he can throw in Green Bay too.
You know what? I do kind of like the Eagles in this game, I must admit it. Jaguars at Titans.
I'm going to go Titans, barely.
Titans.
Field goal.
Titans, more talent. It's just going to come down to that. Bills at Steelers.
This was a hard one, but it's in Pittsburgh, so I'm going with the Steelers. EJ Manuel's back, bro.
I'm scared for Mike Tomlin. I don't know. I don't think they should fire him, but his response to losing hasn't been, every week it's like, if they don't want to play, then I'll bench him. He has, the one thing about losing is that your message can't change. Tom Coughlin is still the same guy, even though the Giants are struggling. Tomlin seems to be changing, at least his public appearance. For his sake, the Steelers better win this game. I'm going to go with the Steelers. Raiders at Giants.
Giants.
You know the Giants still got a chance in the division.
That is the saddest thing in the world. You start off 0-6 or 7.
6.
0-6.
They 2
and still got a chance for the playoffs.
I'm going with the Giants. The Raiders, you just never know week to week. Rams and Colts. You know, the Rams tried to get themselves together and win it, and they just fall short. Lack of quarterback position really showing up. I'm going with the Colts. Seahawks at Falcons.
Seahawks.
Now, see, this is tricky.
And tricky.
Because the Seahawks on the road are just not the same team. But then it's at the Falcons who falling apart. So I'm going to say you're going to get a lot of beast mode, and the Seahawks are going to win.
You sit here and you said that they lost one game.
But they should have lost a couple more.
Well, they didn't. And I don't care on the road.
They haven't looked good on the road, but the Falcons aren't their normal selves, so it is what it is. The Bengals at the Ravens.
Bengals.
You know, Geno Atkins is hurt, gone for the year. But then the Ravens starting guard is hurt, and he's gone for the year. We have no run game. Ray Rice is averaging like 2.7 yards.
Only go straight.
It's a mess in Baltimore. The Bengals will figure it out. The Bengals are the best team in a down division this year. Lions at Bears.
Lions.
Really?
Man, look.
At the Bears? In Chicago?
No, it come down to quarterback. And
Matt Stafford is sometime.
Calvin Johnson is all time. Matt Stafford throw a duck in the air, Calvin gonna grab it.
You know what? I can't charge Josh McCown every week. I've seen Josh McCown do this before. He's the Arizona Cardinals quarterback, and he'd have a game and you'd be like, I see a spark there, and then he'd fall apart. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Lions as well. Panthers at 49ers.
Upset Panthers.
Cam versus Patrick Willis.
Upset Panthers. It's not the defense. You know, it's not even the defense.
I'm going to the 49ers.
It's the captain. They got the defense to bottle him up and make him throw, and they have the defensive coverage.
I'm going with the 49ers just for the simple fact, Cam will throw you a cut.
Oh, that's
and
true.
The 49ers are tricky enough. Frank Gore is Frank Gore. I just think they're coming off the bye. I'm going to the 49ers. Texans at Cardinals. Woo.
Don't let Don't let him fool you.
But Case Keenum going to get his numbers. Case Keenum is going to get his numbers.
200 yards.
200 yards, 2 touchdowns.
1 touchdown.
2 touchdowns.
If Arian Foster's not playing, 2 touchdowns. If Arian's playing, 1 touchdown.
Arian Foster ain't been the same this year, no way. Broncos at Chargers. Broncos. I don't think it's going to be as big as we thinking, but I think Broncos. Cowboys at Saints. You know, Rob Ryan last week went up to the Jets and his defense choked. Never beaten his brother. I think this week he's going to be even more angry because the Cowboys fired him last year.
Oh, yeah. After what he did for them. And they forgot what he did for them.
He patched that defense together. And remember all the injuries. Sean Lee was hurt. Secondary was hurt. And he made it at least respectable. They weren't great, but they were. So I just think now, when you look at it, they can't let Rob down 2 weeks in a row. And I don't think Drew Brees is going to play as bad as he played last week. And, oh, by the way, they're almost unbeatable in that dome in New Orleans. I'm going with the Saints. And the Monday night game nobody cares about.
Oh, my God.
The Dolphins and the Buccaneers. You know, we need to be able to flex Monday night games because this is horrible.
What? Like, who was in the scheduling? It was like, I think, even last year, Dolphins versus Buccaneers.
But can the Buccaneers get their first win? They played great out in Seattle last week, choked it up.
Choke? Big Bird, choking. Glenn, Big Bird, choking.
I think if Philbin's smart, he'll use everything that's going on as a rallying cry. I think the Dolphins will win this one.
Well, hold up. Philbin better be smart. Your job is on the line. And we know Shiano ain't smart. We know this. It's proven fact that this man ain't got all his marbles together.
Shiano, dead man walking. Look, that's all we got for you. Hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, hit us up on Twitter at BigdaddieSports.
At Hooked on Phonics work for LB Jenkins. Hooked on Phonics work for LB Jenkins.
Everybody